d4 is the second most popular way to start the game. One of the main openings after d4 is the queen's gambit, which goes d4, d5, c4, e6, or c6.
When white doesn't play e4, the most popular alternative is d4. Notice d4 controls the center and also opens up lines for the queen and dark-squared bishop. Opening with the queen pawn is usually a slower, more positional opening compared to the e4 openings because it takes longer to develop the kingside pieces. White is now ready to play e4, creating a powerful center, so black normally plays d5, gaining space in the center and preventing white from placing a second pawn in the center. Let's take a look at one of the most fundamental d4 openings. White's most popular move is c4, immediately attacking the d5 pawn. This is known as the queen's gambit. The term gambit means sacrificing a pawn or more material in order to gain an attack or some other advantage. The name queen's gambit is confusing because after d takes c4, known as the queen's gambit accepted, white can gain the pawn back immediately with queen to a4 check, checking black's king and threatening the c4 pawn all at the same time. White does not have to worry about regaining the pawn and can play e4, taking over the center and opening up the f1's bishop attack on the c4 pawn. Since white is able to get two pawns in the center and develop quickly, black does not want to fall further behind in development and try to hold on to this pawn. Since taking the pawn on c4 and trying to keep it is risky, black usually defends the d5 pawn with either c6, known as the Slav defense, or e6. This opening is known as the queen's gambit decline. White will continue to develop pieces to add pressure on d5, and black will continue to defend this important square. After knight to c3, white develops a knight and places more pressure on black's center. Black plays knight f6, developing the knight and protecting the center. White plays bishop to g5, pinning the knight on f6 that was protecting the d5 square, and black plays bishop to e7, developing a piece and unpinning the knight on f6. Black is ready to castle, and white will focus on completing development on the kingside and castling as well. Are you ready to test your d4 opening knowledge? Let's do it.
Let's play white's most popular alternative to 1, e4, 1, d4. Great job. Black plays a poor move, not controlling the center. Let's place another pawn directly in the center. Exactly. If your opponent allows it, place both pawns in the center. After the much stronger defense d5, let's attack that pawn with white's c-pawn, entering the queen's gambit. You got it. After black accepts the gambit, the e4 square is open. Let's bring another white pawn into the center. Great job. White takes over the center and opens up the light-squared bishop, ready to capture black's pawn on c with a great position. Let's capture the d5 pawn. Nice job. White removes black's central pawn. Let's develop a knight and attack black's queen. Great work. White's knight attacks the queen, forcing black to lose time by retreating it. How can white bring another pawn directly into the center? Fantastic. Black failed to protect the d5 pawn, and now white has taken over the center. Let's play the queen's gambit again by playing 2, c4. Nice job. Black protects the central pawn with e6, known as the queen's gambit declined. Let's develop a knight toward the center and add another attacker to d5. You got it! White develops a piece and adds more pressure to d5. Black defends d5 by developing a knight. How can white pin the f6 knight to the queen and develop another piece? Excellent! White's bishop joins the fight for the center by pinning black's knight on f6. Black wisely unpins the knight and develops the dark squared bishop. How can white move a pawn to protect d4 and open up the light-squared bishop? Great job. White protects the d4 pawn and opens up the light-squared bishop. After black castles, let's develop white's other knight toward the center. Exactly. White's knight moves toward the center. White will move the light-squared bishop and castle soon.